here for it Mondays.
I've been going through it all. 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 Yeah. Back all against the wall. Trying hard not to fall. Yeah. All I wanted was to ball. Right. I've been going through it all. Yeah. Back all against the wall. I only got one call. Yep. Who the fuck do I call? I ain't got no friends. Right. All I got is my fam. Nigga. If you don't really give a fuck, then I don't really give a damn. Shit. Fuck all these other niggas. Yeah. Don't wanna do a song with you. Right. If you wanna know what I'm thinking, then follow me on my Twitter. I think I've been too nice. Right. But this is where the shit ends. Yeah. Y'all done got to relax. Yeah. Can't stick to the fucking facts. Damn. I don't fuck with nobody. Right. I never fuck with nobody. No. You can ask anybody. Gone. If they say I did, then they lying. Yep. All this could have been avoided. Right. But nigga really had to snap. Cause I've been going through it all. Yeah. And ain't nobody had my back. Damn. Where the fuck was y'all at? When Badula went down. Right. Soon as I'm back up, everybody wanna come around. Y'all know I go hard, right. So push up the fucking fader. Right. Yesterday I'm a hater. Yeah. Today the cover of the fader.
Yes, y'all.
I've been going through it all.
Hey.
No drugs, no alcohol.
I'm back, y'all.
420 came back around.
Yes.
But I already
I'm back.
I thought I had it figured out.
Back here in
all came clear.
Full effect.
Only thing that
yes.
So fucking wonderful.
Yes, y'all. I am back with episode number 47. Yes, y'all are listening to the Creative Lips Podcast. Yes, and I am your host, Regina. Yes. I'm your host, Regina, guys. And, yes, I took a little bit of hiatus. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes. You know, that hiatus was well worth it. You know, I needed it. I needed it. You know, June was a very tough month for all of us. You know what I'm saying? It was a tough month for all of us. You know, especially including myself. Yes, it was a very tough month for us all. You know. And personally, it was a tough month for me. I'm going to be sharing just, briefly, stuff that I want to share that I feel comfortable with sharing. Just basic, brief stuff that, personal traumatic situation that has happened with my family. Yes, with my family. Yes, I'm going to be sharing that a little bit later on in this episode. So please feel free to stay tuned in and listen in. And if you want to be like everybody else, you want to fast forward and, and hear the tea, you know what I'm saying? Then by all means do so. Okay. But, however, I would love for you guys to tune into this episode of Are We Here For It Mondays? Yes. I am back. Slowly but surely, I am back, giving my, episodes, talking about things that I find interesting that has went viral, the latest news, trends, and fashion, and in music, and also some tea.
So fucking wonderful.
Yes, just a little bit of tea, guys. Just a little bit of tea, not no hearsay, not no gossip, just a little bit of tea. Yes, I'm going to be sharing that, today, just certain topics that I want, to talk about. So certain topics that, I want to get into. And, just like I said, I did take, a little bit of a hiatus. Yes, I did. And, once again, it was much needed. It was much needed for me. Sometimes we need to take a break from ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
So fucking motherfucker.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yes. We need to take a break from ourselves to save ourselves sometimes. Sometimes we need to do that. We just can't keep on running on empty each and every time, every day. Sometimes we need that break. We need that break so that we can come back down and come back to, reality. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that I needed to do. I needed to come back to reality and to know what's going on in front of me and to know what's going on in my life. And that was just beneficial for me. So, as you know, if you all have been listening to me and listening to my Creative Lips podcast, you would know that before I start my podcast, I like to give, words of affirmations, just a positive outlook on life. I like to start off every episode by talking about that because, we need that. We need to hear it. We need to hear some type of positivity right now, because the world still is in a state of emergency. It still is. Some may feel as though that it has calmed down. No, it has not. No, it has not been calmed down. No, things have not stopped with the injustice of the black and brown people. No, it has not stopped. It has not stopped. And I also put up that post up on my Instagram. When the protest and everything is over, make sure you keep that same energy. We still need to keep that same energy. There is still injustice out there that's going to keep on going on. It is. It's just going to keep on going on right in front of us. And see, they're just waiting for a time for us to be relaxed and be comfortable and sit back like how we used to sit back and think that is not being televised. I want y'all to listen to my Black Lives Matter. Listen to my Black Lives Matter music episode. I want y'all to listen to that because, we're still in a state of an emergency. All right, guys, and we need a little bit of positivity so that whoever is listening to this podcast, whoever, only you know who you are, only you know what you are going through. Only you know what obstacles is faced before you. Only you know that. I pray and hope that you will make it through out of any situation, no matter what it is. It may seem hard for you. It may seem trying for you. It may wear you down each and every day. You may shed a tear or two, or you just may cry uncontrollably because of that situation. But I'm here to tell you today that you will make it through. You will make it through that situation. You will make it through that situation victorious. Yes, you will make it out of that situation victorious. And it'll work in your favor the way that you want it to be worked out in your favor in the end. So just hang in there, okay? You can trust yourself more than you know. Just trust and believe that there is a better day, a brighter time, a door opening so that you can see that light at the end of that tunnel. You will make it through. All right, guys? All right. So, I just wanted to just share, just a little bit of, talking about, a little bit, starting off a positivity, today, on my Are We Here For It Mondays. It feels good to be back. It feels good to be talking to you guys once again. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I am so happy to be here. And I thank the Creator. I thank God. I thank the universe. All of the things that I have been experiencing these past couple of weeks, during this time, during this pandemic that we're still in, I am grateful. I am grateful to see another day. I am grateful that my family is here to see another day. And, the first topic that I want to start talking about is coronavirus. Yes, the coronavirus update. Yes. Now, coronavirus is far from over. I don't know who think that it was over. I mean, you get some people that think it's over, as you can see, as certain states begin their phases and countries, of opening up from this pandemic that we are in. People think that it is over, and it is far from over, guys. Just want to let you all know that, just to wake y'all up, just to let y'all know it is far from over. Some countries are still dealing with large epidemics. They're still dealing with it, Yes. And I want to talk about now, are we going to see, basically, are we going to see another epidemic in it? Are we going to face, more outbreaks in the near future? But, even those are currently, certain states and certain countries are controlling the spread, of the virus. Fear. The second wave is coming, guys. The second wave, yes, is definitely going to come. So we need to prepare ourselves. We had all this time. During quarantine, to prepare ourselves mentally, physically, and emotionally. We'd had our time, and financially too, as well. Because we can stack up with that COVID payment. If some of y'all have been doing that, can stack up that money, because it is going to be needed for this second wave. And hopefully, this second wave won't be as bad as the first. The number of infections goes up and then comes back down again. That's what's happening. That wave that they're talking about, that the government was talking about, that hump that they were trying to get over. And each cycle is one wave of COVID-19. Yes, it is. Some describe any rise as a second wave, but it is often a bumpy first wave. And that's how it was when the coronavirus, COVID-19, first started. Yes, when it first started, it's, presumed to be first started in December of last year, 2019. That's what they are saying now, but it didn't have a full-on outbreak until February of this year. Yes, of 2020. But however, this is happening in some United States. In order to say one wave has ended, the virus would have been brought under control. And in certain cases have fallen substantially. Yes, it could have fallen substantially. with them combating it, with different, precautions that the United States and other countries have taken, yes. Now, for a second wave to start, you would need a substantiated rise in infections. Yes, we would need a rise in infections all across the board. Yes, we would need a rise in it. Okay, so that is why that's why they took the measures, as I stated before, the precautions of being, combated. That's the precautions that they that they took so that it can, not spread like rapidly as it was spreading when it first started. Now, the measures that they took, we all know that the measures were, being lifted in stages, so we had to go through these stages in order for us to have, us to go to the store, us to, go to get our nails done, us to, go, do certain things that we used to do before COVID had hit. Yes. So, in the stages that we have been going through and new ways of controlling coronavirus are being introduced to us. And, there are different things that are being introduced to us on a daily basis. So they're going by this on a day-to-day basis as we go on deeper. We're already deeper into it, the different phases. We're being introduced to different things for precautions to help the general public combat COVID-19. And, some of them things, we all know some of the precautions are such as, contact tracing, which, people hate, because now they're having apps to be stored on your phone just so that they can, just to see where you have been going. You know what I'm saying? So, people don't like that, but they have that in place. And of course, the infamous face mask covering. Yes, the face mask covering that, I find very, very interesting to me. So we're protecting each other by wearing that mask so that when we talk to each other, which is going to be social distancing when we talk to each other 6 feet apart by wearing a mask. Yes, and the reason why I find it interesting is because in the Black and brown communities, within the community, it's interesting because I felt kind of uncomfortable wearing the mask at first. Because, when you walk into a store and you have to cover your face, you have to cover your, just basically cover your face, just what I said. And I just find it very interesting because it just feel like, I remember one time I was with my friend and we were going to get takeout to go get some food. And it was so funny because, we had to wear our masks just to go in there in order to get the food. You get some places that do curbside pickup. They'll come out and, give you your food. But this place, we had to go inside and get the food. So I put on my mask and we both put on masks. And I'm like, damn, it felt like we about to rob this joint. That's what it felt like. It felt like we was just getting ready to go in there and just rob the joint. But, however, I'll never do that. But it's just funny to me. You know what I'm saying? But however, it is for, my own and our own good to wear the mask, to prevent the spread of COVID. So that's what they're saying to do. That's what the government is saying to do. That's what your state is saying to do. That's what your country, this is all over the world, it's saying to do. that's what they're telling us to do. So this is something that we have to do. Is no way of getting around it, or else, you're not going to be able to get what you need and get what you want. You know what I'm saying? So we have to wear those masks. I have to tell my son this on a daily basis. You have to wear your mask in order to go into a Target. You know what I'm saying? And, he's 22. So, but, just trying to tell him, I'm hoping that, it gets into his head. But he does wear his mask. He does wear it, but sometimes he hates wearing it. But, what else can you do? But however, the face mask coverings are now a new way for all of us. It's a new way for all of us on a daily basis that we have to wear them. And just like I said in my previous episodes, that when we do go back to work, it is going to be mandatory that we wear the mask during our work shift. No matter how long your work shift is. Some people work an 8-hour work shift. Some people work a 12-hour work shift. So you have to wear that mask, that full shift. That full day of that full time that you are in that place of business, because it is mandatory now. Yes, it's mandatory. And I also read that there are certain businesses making you sign a waiver that, or a disclaimer stating that, due to COVID, you have to wear this face mask covering. And if you don't wear the face mask covering, and if you do catch COVID-19 coronavirus, we are not liable of it. They're making you sign these waivers now. And, they're also saying that if you do sign these waivers, make sure you read and sign that waiver with a witness. Because if in fact that you do contact COVID-19 coronavirus, you can probably try to take it to the next level with a legal matter, but, if you do sign that waiver, you have to look into, the legal terms of it, and I was thinking about, actually doing another podcast episode in regards to that, because now that there are changes in regards to COVID-19, there are different things that are, just like I said before in my other episodes, that they are going to be putting in place before we turn to work, before we turn to school, before your children go to school. Just everything. There are going to be different things put in place before we enter into these buildings, before we enter into these public places. There are going to be things that they're going to ask us to sign. And it could trickle down even down to the movie theater. They probably could make you check off something really quickly, stating that we are not liable if you are to catch COVID, so I am definitely going to be doing another episode in regards to that. So stay tuned, guys. Stay tuned for that. So, now what? What could trigger that second wave, guys? What could trigger that second wave for COVID-19? Of course, just like I said, they're lifting all of the lockdown orders and restrictions too soon, in my case, for some, too soon. And, now that I have been, out of this lockdown phase, it's kind of a little bit slow. I see it's a little bit slow out there. Things are still slow, but it is kind of picking up a little bit with traction as far as with stores and shopping and so forth. And I see that, the lockdowns have caused massive disruption. Yes, it has. And, since since we were in quarantine, it did cause massive disruption. And of course, not here in the States, in the United States, also all over the world. It destroyed jobs. People lost their jobs, me included. And it also affected people's health, not just their physical health, their mental health as well. And of course, it took our children from out of school. It took our children, from, going to school Monday through Friday. And it took a toll on all of us. I can honestly say that it did. But since the lockdown, can we all honestly say that it has been controlled? Or can we honestly say that it has not been controlled? I'll let you all, I guess, decide if, in fact, that it has been controlled or not. I'll let you all decide. And if you do, then hit me up on Instagram. Yes, hit me up on Instagram. I'll put up a post in regards talking about that. If, in fact, we think that it has been controlled ever since the lockdown has been lifted, or if it's, not controlled. So I'll definitely put a post up about that. And, just like I said, ever since the lockdown, a second wave, will be on the rise. Yes, it will be on the rise, but will it be the same as the first outbreak? Will it be the same as the first outbreak, guys? The number of people each infected by a person past the virus is on the average of 3 people. 3 people. That's how it first started, which is an average of 3 people, from 1 person to 3 people. That's how the first pandemic started. And since then, it was meant that the virus was spreading fast at that time. It was, it was just ramping up since then. But of course the behavior has changed. It has changed from that part, just like I said. Ever since then, we are social distancing, 6 feet apart. And at least the majority of us is doing that, because there are some people I still see, when I am out and about, getting my essentials or doing, what I need to do for myself. I still see people. Some people are not social distancing, but the majority of people are. They are taking into account that, we are trying to follow these orders, these precautions, to just take precautions on a day-to-day basis while we are out and about. And of course, it's hard to see how it would get that high again. It's really hard to see right now how the spread will be for this second wave. We won't know until that wave comes back again. That definitely we will not know. If cases did start to grow again, it is likely to be relatively slow. However, a second wave could still end up bigger than the first, because so many people are still susceptible right now. Yes, we really are. And, they don't have a vaccine yet. And people are really, kind of critical about the vaccine too. And if and when they do have a vaccine, then that's when we'll know, how to combat this. But right now, people are really wary, but if cases climb again, it could really possible be that they can be reintroduced to us all over again, that lockdown quarantine phase. Yes, that could be reintroduced to us all over again. But, if they do that, I can honestly say that, we have been through that. We have experienced now. We know what we can do, So if that is, in fact, if that wave come back again really bad, they are really going to enforce a lot of things. Can we say martial law again? Can we say curfew again? You know what I'm saying? This time it's definitely going to be the curfew. And not outside, when we had the protests and the riots and stuff, they gave us curfew for that. No, they're going to enforce all of that. They tested the waters, guys. They tested the waters. So this time around, it's going to be a big deal. It's definitely going to be a big deal. And that's something that we have to, look out for and look forward to. Because if we do see a second wave, when it will be, I think a second wave is always inevitable. We will never know, but I know it's going to be. Particularly, we can go towards the winter months. That's what the reports are saying, in the winter months, because winter may be a crucial time as other coronaviruses do spread more rapidly then. Yes, it does. Now, during spring, like when spring came back around, it really did help. It really did help the spread, like the slow down of spreading the virus. But however, the challenge here, this is the big challenge, guys. Now, I'm going to wrap up talking about the update on coronavirus. The thing here is, if the government has to really ensure us this time around, because I know this is not new. This virus is new to us, but pandemics are not new to us. Pandemics may have happened years and decades ago, but however, this time around, we have more technology. We have more resources. There is a lot of things that has been brought to our attention that we know that we can actually get help for a lot of things. So therefore, the government really has to ensure us. The government has to ensure us all that this second wave, that if in fact this second wave that they're reporting will come back during the winter time, that it does not overwhelm us. And also, of course, the healthcare workers, the healthcare industry, it does not overwhelm them again. Now, the government has to ensure us that, and they haven't been doing that. They do talk about it here and there. It's kind of slowed down now. But now they really have to ensure the general public that, in fact, if and when the second wave comes, we will be protected. Resources will be there for us. Food, money will be aided to us. Like other countries, Germany is doing it well. Germany is protected under a lot of things. And Canada, they're giving them money. They're still giving them money, and it was no hesitation in doing that. But America, we're here in America. This is what you get. We get what we get, guys. So now moving on to the next topic. Now this topic that I found so interesting and very, very, oh wow, it's very scary. Very scary. Now, the next topic I'm going to be talking about is the popular American online furniture retailer, Wayfair. Yes, Wayfair. I don't know if you all are familiar with that online retailer. I'm familiar with it because back then I used to get my stuff. I used to get a lot of stuff from Wayfair because, they had a lot of home furnishings, and they also sell like dishwares and housewares and stuff for your home, just to make your home look nice and trendy and and so forth, and it was a pretty good website a long time ago. The prices were okay. It wasn't that expensive to me. At the time, when his sister had coin.
So fucking motherfucker.
Yeah, when his sister had a little bit of coin. Yes, that was back in the day. You know what I'm saying? But however, Wayfair, yes, I don't know if you all have been hearing about that retailer. The Wayfair has been coming under fire for allegedly selling humans with their overpriced storage cabinets and utilities. Yes, they have come under fire for human trafficking. For allegedly, let's say allegedly, human trafficking. Wayfair child trafficking scheme of drama. Now, this drama had begun last week with a post from a subreddit conspiracy. Yes, a subreddit conspiracy. Now, if y'all are familiar with Reddit, I read Reddit a lot. I like reading it because it's the voice of the people, and they talk a lot about the stimulus, unemployment, and they talk about a lot of things on there, even down to fashion. They talk about on Reddit. Be sure to check out Reddit. Check it out because they talk about a lot of things on there, and several children had actually been linked to the products, to some of their products on the freaking website. It's very scary, very scary. Some children that have been missing, that have been gone missing, some for years and some just recently. Some of their names have been linked to some of their merchandise on the website. And, some of the names, I'm going to try my best not to butcher some of these names. I apologize in advance. Some of the names are Niera, Samaya, Maman, Samira, Duplessis, Yaritza, Castro, Annabelle Wilson, Kayla Coleman are just some of the ones that were linked to some of this merchandise that was on Wayfair's website. And, once this news broke, it has been, talked about. It went viral quickly. All over everywhere. The news outlets caught wind of it as well. And people began to talk about it. People began to tweet about it. People began to, write blogs about it, and, just to give it light and to give it attention, just to see, in fact, if this alleged crazy, horrific thing that has been going on with Wayfair is true. So people have been talking about this a lot all over the internet this past week. And, just like I said, those children have been gone missing and their names have been linked to some of their products and merchandise on the website. Now, a user had conducted a thorough research on the topic and of the people missing in 2020, just recently this year. The rumor spread after people started noticing an unfounded pattern linking the names of overly priced items such as cabinets from prices. Listen to this, guys. From prices, starting from the $14,000, $14K, and throw pillows. This is just pillows that you can just put on your couch. Pillows from $10,000 to the initials and names of missing children. And now these names are presumed to be actual missing children at the time. And now I'm gonna do an update in this episode, and the reason why I said at the time. Now the children names is Samaya Mumman, Samira Duplessis, and Yuritsa. Now those names were linked to cabinets. These cabinets were sold for like about $13,000 on Wayfair's website. That's crazy. That's very eerie, and it's crazy. But just like they said, it's alleged. It's an alleged thing. It's a conspiracy. That user dug deep down the rabbit hole and tried to get to the bottom of that eerie conspiracy with those names of the missing children. The overly priced items raised deep suspicion of Wayfair's trafficking children in place of these products. Twitter users swarmed a social media platform with tweets correlating with these products, with those missing children's names. Yes, they did. People just swarmed. They really wanted to know. It really was investigating this. People was doing their private eye on this one. Yes, they did. Which is, in fact, yes. You know what I'm saying? So they were posting, these pictures correlating with these products of the missing children, posting screenshots of along the way of all of those names, posting the screenshots and how much these products was. They were posting them all over the internet. The fact that the products had such unique names, very unique names, very eerie and unique names, troubled everyone around the nation. Yes, it did. From Reddit, someone had proposed two equally plausible theories. Now, this is what someone said from Reddit. They said Wayfair is a drop shipping company. Yes, Wayfair is a drop shipping company. So the least reprehensible explanation is likely that particular sellers on Wayfair are overpricing items simply because they can. Yes, they can. If I had a website, if I want to sell a t-shirt, I can put it up there for $3,000 if that's something that I want to do. And if you want to buy it, then you'll buy it. You know what I'm saying? If you got the coin to do it, then you'll buy it. They can do that because they can. And then they said the other explanation is that he said in his mind is that these overpriced items are being used to launder money. Yes, could be used to be laundering lots of money. Lots of money from the underground, from the dark web. That could be an idea as well. Yes. And they went on to say that, which of course it makes a bit more sense to me, because who in their right mind would fall for a drop shipping scam of buying $45,000 Zodiac pillow that looks like it's worth only $2? Like, who would do that? A lot of people would do that if you are trying to hide something or you are trying to do it discreetly. Of course. There are a lot of things that has been going on right in front of our eyes. Right in front of our eyes, guys. Yes, right in front of our eyes. And, of course, there are a lot of celebrities. Who sell products on Wayfair. They have a partnership with Wayfair. I can just list some of the names. Some of them that I like to watch their shows. Some of them. I know one show that I love to watch because I love real estate. And I love, transforming homes and making homes look good. You know what I'm saying? That's something that I'm interested in. I'm interested in looking into doing that. It's the Property Brothers. Yes, the Property Brothers. They also have their housewares and furniture and stuff like that on Wayfair as well. Martha Stewart, Kelly Clarkson, Lionel Richie, and Ellen DeGeneres. Yes, Ellen DeGeneres. And, she has been coming under fire a lot lately, too, as well, with how she treats her staff and how she is as a person. So, those celebrities, and the list goes on. There are more celebrities who are partnered with Wayfair, and they sell their merchandise on Wayfair's website. So, and why do I say that? Why do I list the celebrities? Not to say that they are allegedly in, this whole conspiracy. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm basically saying that these celebrities support this website. And who knows what goes on, behind the doors of Wayfair. Who knows what's happening. And, Wayfair is, just like I said, the products are in question, and the industrial grade cabinets that they are selling right now are originally supposed to be priced just $1,000 and some change. But they have them on there for $13,000 to $14,000. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of, something is up with that. Something is up with that. The Wayfair conspiracy that became a social media storm on Friday. This happened last Friday. Began to post to, so many outlets, so many people, witnessed that. So many people had their different theories and the different things, also linking it to Pizzagate. You can also Google that too as well, guys. They also linked it to that as well. I'm not going to get into the specifics about Pizzagate, but it has a lot to do with child trafficking. They did talk about that as well. So on July 10th, a Wayfair representative told Fox Business News that there is, of course, no truth to these claims, and also has denied the accusations in an email to Newsweek.com as well. And she stated that there is, of course, no truth to the claim that the products in question are industrial grade cabinets that are accurately priced. Yes, that's what she said. Recognizing that photos and descriptions provided by the supplier did not explain the high price point. We have temporarily removed the products from the site to rename them and to provide a more in-depth description and photos that accurately depict the product to clarify the price point. Yes, that's what they did. So they took them down. The company's decision to delete the product raises more suspicions now. It raises more suspicions that they deleted them off of their website. Because if Wayfair child trafficking scheme was just a rumor, then why would Wayfair delete the products from their online store? Why would they do that? It gives way to more conspiracy theories. It's going to make people. This happened last Friday. It happened last Friday. And if in fact that it's not true, it's just going to have people dig down that rabbit hole even much more deeper. It's going to make them look into their company even more, and even the owner, the CEO. It's going to make them dig, because that's what the internet does. That's what they do. That's what they do. The internet is not forgiving, and it will not rest at all. It just won't, especially when it comes to stuff like this. I just think, if we have any thoughts about all of these things, what is our thoughts? What is our thoughts about it? Our thoughts about it is that it's something there that shouldn't be there, and it's going to come out to light. It's going to come out to light. It is. It's going to be shown. Of course, it's also been shown about the Epstein stuff. Yes, what about that? We haven't forgotten about that. That's more to come. And also, reports also stated that they could not confirm the status of the missing children, the names that were tied to the cabinets, as no information is available on the internet at the time. Now this is what I'm going to get into. However, just like I said earlier, now there is an update about some of the children's names that were tied to those cabinets on Wayfair. So there is an initial update. So upon a research that I have been doing, doing my little bit of research on this particular topic that went viral about Wayfair, I found out that there was Samaya Mind. Upon my initial research, I found that Samaya was missing in June 2020. She was missing just this past June 2020, but has since been found in her hometown. So which is good that she was found. And there was another young lady by the name of Niera, she has since been missing as well, because her name was tied to the products that was on there too as well. I don't know of the cabinets, but I know Samaya's name was tied to the cabinets that were overly priced on Wayfair's website. And the next missing person was Samara Duplessis. The 13-year-old Michigan girl, Samara Duplessis, is still missing. She is measured 5.5 inches tall and weighed 110 pounds, with long brown hair in braids and hazel eyes. She has last been spotted by family members while taking the garbage out. Now, there's an update on Samara. According to the report, she was found in a safe and sound condition. Yes. So she has since been found as well. And now this is another young lady that was tied to those cabinets, Yaritza Castro, the 16-year-old Harwintown, Connecticut girl. She went missing on June 10th, 2020. No update on her status is available so far. So that young lady, Yaritza Castro, her name was tied to one of the cabinets and allegedly, tied to the cabinets. And, there is no update on her whereabouts and her status so far. And the next missing person is Cameron James. I cannot pronounce his last name. It begins with a D. Desikiewicz. He went missing on April the 2nd, 2020 in Calvert County. The police had since located successfully with the help of people, according to ABC13. And the next missing person is Mary Durrett. The 16-year-old girl went missing on December the 14th, 2017, near Herman Park. She was found safe after 1 week. Yes, after 1 week, guys. Yes. So my thoughts on this whole ordeal is very disheartening. It's very sad. It's very hard to really talk about. It's really hard to talk about because, if in fact that those names, some of those names that I mentioned are in fact tied to the products on Wayfair, that whole company, that whole organization needs to be taken down swiftly. So
fucking motherfucker.
Yes, they need to be taken down swiftly and fast. And I hope and pray that they are investigating that. Even though those are just conspiracies, I'm quite sure that they are looking into it right now as we speak. They didn't say it's true. They didn't say it's false. They didn't say anything. That's all they said, that those products were not depicted in this right light. So we are since changing the names and deleting them. And, and to be honest, guys, I'm going to let you all know that those cabinets are still on the internet. Yes, they are. I'm not saying that to scare you all or anything like that or cause shock value. They're still in the cache of the internet. You can still search for those cabinets and you can still order them, guys. They're still out there. Yes. If you do your research, if you're a tech head like I am, you can do your research and then you will see that it is still out there. Same names. But however, Who knows? It could be, just like the other, the other Reddit person that said it could be money laundering. It could be a lot of things. But however, if in fact, just like I said, that is true, then they need to be taken down swiftly. Yes. So now here's the part, guys. Okay, so here's the part. If you tuned in, it has been, a little bit lengthy. Are we here for it Mondays? But by damn it, I took a hiatus, and yes, I have a lot of shit to say because my lips are creative, guys. Yes, and I am a creative human being. Yes, I have a lot of shit to say. So, now this is the part, guys, that I talk about my personal journey that I had with my family. I had a little bit of, well, not a little bit, is a really big situation that has happened with my family. I'm going to talk about it briefly, and I know people are just listening to this just to hear the tea. And I'm not going to put a chapter marker on this so that you can just skip to it, because I really want you all to listen to my episodes and support me. But however, I did have a little bit of emergency in my family where my daughter had went missing. Yes, my daughter had went missing. And by the grace of God, my daughter was found. Yes, she was found safe and sound. And right now, my family, we are just basically trying to pick up the pieces as to what had happened during her missing. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that because I know a lot of people are wondering what had happened to my daughter. People that have known my family, people that know my daughter, just know of my family, that my daughter is fine. She is safe. And it's private, what happened to my daughter. Is just to let you all know that the situation that did happen was very traumatic for her, and it was very traumatizing for our family as well. And that I would just ask that everyone just keep our family, please, guys, keep our family in your prayers, please. Yes, by all means, please keep our family in your prayers. Because we are still trying to heal. We are still trying to move on and grow and learn from this experience. Okay, guys. So I just wanted to just basically talk about it briefly and just, move on from it and, and just put it out there, because I put it out there, that my daughter was missing. And again, it's like I said, she's been found safe. And I want to thank you all. Thank everyone who has helped us in aiding to find my daughter and to, locate her whereabouts and where she's at. And I appreciate all your love and support and also donations. People have been, giving my daughter money and also been giving my family money, for and help of, finding my daughter, and also, for help in the care of my daughter. I really appreciate you all. I'm not going to do a GoFundMe. People have asked me to do one. I'm not going to do that. It's too much involved in that. I don't need to do that. But however, I want to thank you all. I want to thank you all. I thank you all from the bottom of my heart. I thank you all for the help, with my family. And all right, guys. So now let's get into it now. Are we here for it or are we not here for the second wave of COVID-19? Now, are we here for that? No, we are definitely. we are definitely not here for that second wave of COVID-19. But however, guys, we are, going to make all of the efforts that we have learned. We have learned so much. We have learned so much through the course of being quarantined, of being, at home with our families and our loved ones. And, whether you have been working from home or, doing, telework, and, your kids have been doing, your schooling from home. And, we all know what to do. We all know what to do. We definitely know what to do. We definitely do. So if in fact that we do have this second wave, we will be okay, because we have been dealing with this so far. We have been going through it all, and that's why I played that song, that Erykah Badu song. We have been going through it all, because we definitely have been, guys. You know what I'm saying? Yes, we have. And, and the next one, are we here for Wayfair? Are we here for Wayfair with the conspiracy of the alleged trafficking scandal that they have going on with these overpriced cabinets that they have been selling on their website, and other products as well tied to initials of missing children's names? No, we're definitely not here for that shit. No, we're not. And I hope and pray that they get down to the bottom of what's going on with that, because that's kind of eerie and scary. So, I hope that they, figure that out. I hope they figure that shit out. You know what I'm saying?
So fucking motherfucker.
I definitely hope that they figure that shit out, guys. Yes. All right, guys. So I thank you all for tuning with me for this episode number 47. Yes, I am back, guys. And I appreciate you all. I love you. And yo, guys, I love y'all. I really do. And yo, keep on tuning in, because it's going to be more. It's going to be more episodes, more tea, more things to come. Follow me on all of my social media, guys. Follow me on Instagram at CreativeLipsPodcast. Yes, guys. Also follow me on Twitter at CreativeLipsPod. Yes, follow me there, guys. And also subscribe. Come on. Add me, subscribe, follow, and also leave me a review. Leave me that 5-star rating too as well, guys. And just like I said, follow me on all my social media, because you want to know what, guys? I post stuff there too. All right, guys. Until next time.
I only get one call. Who the fuck do I call? Right. Wintertime. I've been going through it all. I've been going through it all. I've been going through it all.
You are now listening to episode 47 of the Creative Lips Podcast.